Hey everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am so excited to be here, and what an amazing conversation that we have been having this morning. Listen, it's so much to talk about. So much to talk about. I am here a little early on this Thursday, and not only do we have a power half an hour, you guys, we got a power 45. So to be successful, I absolutely need you, and I am just feeling so good today. You know those days when you wake up and you're like, today is going to be a good day. I can feel that today is going to be a good day. And so I'm claiming that for each and every person that's listening in, that's joining through, and all of the things. So today, you guys, if it's the first time that you're hearing me, I am Lolita E. Walker. I am a certified life leadership and executive coach, a power speaker, a mommy, a board member, and all of the things, author, and you name it. We have so many hats. And so each week I come to you and I love to bring you what I call coaching cocktails and conversations. So what's all that about? Well, guess what? I'm here in Breakfast with Champions. I'm here on my Facebook group, Coaching Cocktails and Conversation, LinkedIn, YouTube, my podcast, Coaching Cocktails and Conversations. And this live conversation that we're going to have today is really all about leaning in, leaning over, and leaning through. I'm going to say that again for the people. Leaning in, leaning over, and leaning through. How many times have we done one, two, three, or all of them combined, right? How many times have we done that? And I want to talk to you about that in the realm of how are we shaping and shifting our future? How are we shaping and shifting our past to really shape and shift our future? That's what I talked to you guys about last week when I was here, is shaping and reshaping your past so that you can shift into your future, and how you do that. So if you missed that, go ahead and back and take a listen to it. But today we're really leaning in, leaning over, and leaning through. I have a little cold. I don't know if you guys can hear it. But today I'd love to have this juicy conversation with each and every one of you all. So good morning, good morning, good morning to all of the people that are here. Again, Coaching Cocktails and Conversation is really all about leaving you with a couple nuggets to challenge your thinking. Whatever you can't use, just leave it right here. But the things that you can use, I'm encouraging you to go ahead and take it on your journey to push yourself forward. Okay. And then cocktails is not so much about what you're sipping on or drinking at the time. It's more about celebrating the greatness of who it is that you are in this time, in this moment, in this space. And sometimes it behooves us to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? You freaking rock. I haven't told you that today, but you are amazing. And let me tell you why. Or guess what? Something that you said really powered me to move forward. Or, hey, guess what? I knew that you said that you wanted to be an author, and I heard that you actually started that book. I'm so excited to celebrate you right now. And then conversations is the juiciness of what we're about to have right now. So whether it is that you are typing in the comments on any of the platforms, whether it is that you are listening live and decide, hey, let me come off mic and join in this conversation because I'm resonating with something. Whatever the course is, whether it's now or in the future when you hear this on a podcast, I want you to know that you are excellence standing right there. And so we're going to drive a little bit of clarity as we go through this today. And our topic is leaning in, leaning over, and leaning through. So when you think about those, I'd love for you to, if you're doing the soul work with me, just have 3 columns right there. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Leaning in, leaning over, and leaning through. Let's go one at a time, and we can apply all of these 4 principles that I'm going to leave with you today. And the first is leadership on demand. Like, how are you going to do that? I want to be a leader at all times. And what does that mean? If you all don't already know, I do teach a group of undergraduates, and I teach a course called Business for Non-Business Majors. And it's amazing because it takes you through this essence of what business is and allows you to touch in all of the different aspects, allows you to touch in marketing, allows you to touch in what are the forms of ownership, where can you go and get support if you want to start a business, accounting. Last night we talked understanding your personal finances, because when you understand your personal finances, then you absolutely can begin to understand your business finances and what principles and what money mindset you have. And so in this notion of being a leader at all times, I want to remind everybody that you are a leader. And the reason I shared this course is because last night we were talking about leadership, just a little bit about leadership. And throughout the course, we've been talking about this notion of leadership. And sometimes people think that a leader is up on this high echelon. Like you have to have all of these direct reports under you in order to be classified as a leader. And what I want to share with you today is that the leader sits within us. And so what characteristics do you possess that tell you that I am a leader? I'd love for somebody to either come off mic or type in, what are some characteristics of a power leader? What are some characteristics of a leader? I'm not asking what are your characteristics. I'm asking what are some characteristics of a good leader? Think about, confident. I love that. Confident. And why is confidence so important? Whoever said that. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. You want to have faith that that person actually knows what it is that they're doing. And when they stand up and they're confident, right? When they possess this notion of awareness, when they possess this ability to be able to command a room with an increased knowledge and a skill set, then people want to follow. People want to follow. If someone's very timid in a role, or they're not able to make clear decisions, or they're not a supporter of the people there, it's kind of like, do I want to follow that person? I love that. I love that. Inspired trust in competence and character. Thank you. Yes, someone else said a leader is someone that cares about others. Yes. And then when I look at Facebook, they say service oriented. I love that, because you got to want to serve. Yes, come on, communication skills. You said respective or perspective? Yes. A visionary. Oh, so good. Seeing good in others, seeing the strengths that lay in others. And I love, that thing that Ramon just said. I want to talk about that for a minute, is because sometimes you got to remember that you don't have to know it all in a leadership position, right? You don't have to know it all. You're able to lead others. You're able to lead others and lean in a little bit when you possess these qualifications, because guess what? You are only as good as the people that's following you. And when we have that perspective, when we can see from the balcony, I love that somebody said that. When you can see from the balcony, you can see from the front, you can see from the sides, it's because you've taken a step back to serve. Oh, I love that someone said servitude, service oriented. Yeah, jump in. Like that. Being solutions oriented. Being solutions oriented. I love that. Decisive, vulnerable, all of these things that you all are saying, yes. And so now that you have this listed, now that you talk about these characteristics that good leaders possess, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Oh, all that no. So good. So good. Now that you have these characteristics, I want to press pause on this right here. And I want you to think about which one of those do you possess and which one of those do you need to work on? Now, that's always the juicy part right there. We know what it looks like and it feels like because we've been in situations where we've experienced great leadership. We've been in situations where we haven't experienced great leadership. But I want you to think about all of those characteristics that everybody said today, because they're powerful. Which ones of those do you possess? When I say Lolita E. Walker, which one of those do I possess? When I say Lolita E. Walker, which one of those do I need to work on a little bit more? We talked about a toolkit a couple of weeks ago. In this toolkit, I want you to think about what's the things that's in there that need to be shaken up a little bit. They're at the bottom of your toolkit. They're at the bottom. They got dust all over them. And then what are the things that you're going to put in there and remind yourself day in and day out that I possess this skill set? Because we're talking about leaning in. And when you lean in, think about when you lean over, when you're going through something. When you lean in, that means I'm sitting up a little bit straighter. That means I'm coming to the table a little bit more. That means I have the vulnerability right beside me. I'm service oriented. I'm serving. I'm looking from the balcony and I'm seeing these things. I have perspective. I'm driving solutions in your life right now, whether it's work, it's life, it's home. I want you to think about the thing that you're going through right now. Think about the thing that you want to press forward for right now. Are you driving with service? Are you driving with perspective? Are you acting inside of this thing? We want to demonstrate our leadership, because for us to sit at the table and sit up a little bit stronger, we got to lean in a little bit more. That means we got to push ourselves a little bit more. When you're leaning, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? You need to be strategic. You need to be intentional, right? I love that, because do you see how all of these play together, guys? Do you see how when one is very strong, you can leverage that, their strength right there, in order to build the strength in another characteristic? You have to have the ability to look at all of the pieces. It's like driving, right? Think about this. This just came to mind. It's like driving. And you're not just in the moment right there. You're looking at where the cars are moving. You're looking at where the opening, I hope you are anyway. You're looking at where the openings are. You're looking ahead to determine which lane you're going to be in order to move forward, right? I want you to think about that in this notion of leadership, which is the first aspect that I wanted to talk to you all about. What does leadership look like to you? We've talked about all of those things. What does leadership look like to you? And which one of those characteristics are already in your toolkit? Which one is already strong? Because you're going to need that on your quest to where it is that you're going. If a book is in your future and you're like, I've just been thinking about this book, I want you to lean in. I want you to sit up a little bit taller. I want you to grab the strengths that we just talked about. The leader within you is waiting to leverage those. Where is it that you're going? Right? December 31st is around the corner. Where is it that you're going? Where is it that you're going? I want you to think about that. And when we talk about leaning in, it's just getting a little bit closer to what that there thing is. It's sitting at the table and moving your chair all the way in. It's being part of the conversation. It's making yourself vulnerable. So now you got to get uncomfortable to then get comfortable. I want you to think about those things because they're very important in this notion of leaning in just a little bit more. And sometimes, you know what I'm going to say, that you have to sit in the power of your pause in order to see strategically and intentionally on where it is that you want to go. That chessboard, I love that. You got to be able to look from the balcony. I'm going to say that all the time. Who was it that said that, so I can give you credit when I'm grabbing that one from the balcony? Oh, of course. Yeah. I love it. All of these things, guys. All of it. I led a session last weekend for a retreat, and when I was there, the soul work that I gifted was to close your eyes and to think about you and your success on December 31st of 2024. And what are you saying in that aspect? We were talking about commitment, but for this, let's talk about leaning in. Let's talk about leadership. What are you celebrating and saying, oh my gosh, I am standing right here a year from now, a little over a year from now, and I'm so excited of where it is that I am because the leader in me was able to do what? That thing right there is what we're leaning into right now. That thing right there is what we're leaning into right now. And it starts with leadership, recognizing that the leader within you possesses some of these qualities right now. Own them so that then they can power and build up the other ones that we need on our way. And here's the blessing about leadership. And somebody said it too, is that you don't need to know all of the things. All right. I love that Rodney said always evaluating the current position to improve tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. And then celebrating the wins of where it is that we are right now. Celebrating the wins of where it is that we are right now. Sometimes I talk to you guys about the small wins board, right? And so if you've never heard me talk about that, then the small wins board is just, hey, what's one win that I had today? I'm not looking for 2. I'm not looking for 0. I'm not looking for 10. I'm looking for one small win that I'm going to claim today, and I'm going to write that thing down. What's the power in that, Lolita? Well, the power is at the end of this month, then I'm going to read all of those out, because every day is not a great day. And I want to remind myself that these are the small wins that happen along the day. And we're not going to judge the wins. They're yours. The win might be for my son. The win might be, oh my gosh, my mother let me have an entire piece of cake, not a half, because I monitor all of the things, not the half, an entire piece of cake. And guess what? There was a Snickers bar at the end of that. That might be the win. The win might be I actually got a chance to take a nap today. So I'm not judging your win. The win might be, guess what? I knocked that presentation out the park. I actually started journaling today, and I don't know where it's going, but I feel so good because I released what it is that is within me. I recognized somebody today, and it made their day. I could see it. I could feel it. I knew it because I decided that today was the day I was going to lean in. I want you to remember the characteristics that we talked about, because we are here in order to shift just a little bit differently when we leave this Power 45 minutes. I love that Patty said leaders help fill the gaps for adaptive challenges. Ooh. Patty, say more about these adaptive challenges. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Patty. So good. You know, the beauty of that right there is that challenges, and I love this because it's going into leaning over. The beauty is that challenges are right in front of us. The hurdle is right there. The hurdle is always going to be right there. The hurdle sometimes feels a little larger than it was last week, but sometimes you're going to know that the hurdle is there, and you're going to run and you're going to get bumped right back down. How do you adapt inside of those challenges? Because you could choose to stand right there. You could choose to go around it. You could choose to go over it. You could choose to retreat. You could choose to go backwards, but it's a choice. And so, with the leadership that we already had in the beginning, right? Because we possess all of these things and they're in our toolkit, and we are surrounded by people, and knowing that we don't have to do it all, right? When we ease on over right there, because when we're going into leaning over, then you have a choice to jump over that hurdle, to move around it, to chip away at that rock. Because the reality is, just because it looks like it's sturdy doesn't mean that you can't just push it over. Who said that? Think about in my garage, okay? In my garage, I have this wall, and it looks brick from the outside, right? You look in, when you lift up the garage door, it looks like that there's a brick wall that right there. And the interesting part is that it's wallpaper. It's wallpaper. Who said that because it looked like a brick wall that I wasn't able to push through it? Who said that I wasn't able to rip it off? Who said that that actually is brick and I can't chisel away at it? It looks like one thing, but reality is when I get up on it, I realize that it's not. When fear is standing right before you, the fear of anything that's right there, when you start to have that dialogue with it, you recognize that the fear isn't as big as what you thought it was. We're easing into our greatness. I'm greatness where I stand, but there's so much more ahead. And so with my leadership now, I'm easing into the greatness that lay ahead. Make sense? I'm easing into the greatness that lay ahead. And what is that greatness, Lolita? Well, what we talked about is that I already recognize that where I'm going to be in December, I'm celebrating all of those wins. I'm making my list of my small wins right now. And so I'm going to be there and I'm celebrating the fact that I'm leaning all the way in with these leadership skills that I have, but I'm celebrating that thing. So I'm just going to make it up. If that book is that thing that's on the other side of that, if that promotion is that thing that's on the other side of that, I want you to recognize that these pieces that's inside of my toolkit right now, these pieces are going to help me to look at what is directly in front of me, and I'm going to ease my way into the greatness that already lay ahead because I've already claimed that greatness. It was Stephen Covey that said, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. If I know it, I trust it, and I believe it. If I can see it right there. If I know it, I trust and I believe that I am there. I am celebrating the wins already. Then it's done. It's done. So I want you to ease into the greatness that lay ahead. And whatever that greatness is for you that you're celebrating, it's going to look different for every single person. But I want you to lean in, lean over, and lean through. How are we doing that? Well, of course, I'll leave you with a power acronym, you guys. And that's what we're going through right now. That leadership that we talked about. If you just got here, then you missed everybody talking about what characteristics lay within leadership. When you think about a good leader, what is that? What are those characteristics? And we had about 10 or 15 that really came up. And so which ones of those do you possess? Which ones of those are you going to use today? Today. I'm going to be service oriented. I'm going to make myself vulnerable. I'm going to adapt to the challenges. I'm going to recognize that there's this thing in front of me. I'm going to always evaluate what's happening right now. I'm going to look from the balcony over and realize that I don't have to do all of the things. Sometimes I have to choose. I always talk about this, the 3Ds: do it, delegate it, or disappear. Sometimes I have to make choices for the betterment of the group. Sometimes I recognize that it's not all about me. Today, we are leaning in. We're talking about leaning over as we ease into the power of our own greatness, as we ease into the greatness that lay ahead. It's a choice. It's a choice. What are you leaning into today? I want you to take a moment and think about, what are you leaning into today? What are you committing to lean over? Hey, Patty. Is that Patty? Tell me more. Responsibility. You are responsible. You have responsibilities. You have duties. There are people that are leaning on you. There are people that are leaning on you. There's expectations that are there. There's that continuity. People treat us how we show them that we want to be treated. If you're consistent in everything you do, people know how they're going to approach you. People know that they can lean on you. I'm going to mention Dora Maria, right? We know what Dora Maria does. I know that I can count on her. I can go through everyone that's here that I can see on the stage, and I can say, oh my gosh, I know what to expect out of you. Why? Because you've demonstrated it. And the power of what we're talking about right now, the power of this lean that I'm talking to you all about right now, is that demonstrated. When people say your name, what are they going to say about you? It's based on what you have already shown them. It's based on a demonstration. of what you've shown them. If I've shown people that I'm a power speaker, if I've shown people and demonstrated that when I speak that you're taking something from it, that I can engage a crowd, if I've shown that, then that's what people are going to come to me for. If I've shown that I can get results, then that's what people are going to come to me for. What is it that people are coming to you for? That strength right there is how you're showing up in the world. That strength is how we're showing up in the world. I love this. Dr. Stacy Luckett said, I'm leaning into a purpose-driven life. Come on. I'm leaning into a life where I understand my purpose. I know it. I trust it. I believe it. I can commit to it. I can articulate it, which leans into the A that I want to talk to you guys about is ask. Ask the questions because there's power in it. Ask the questions because there's power in it. And I want to ask you guys this question right here is, when is the last time that you've asked anybody for help? I know you need help in some aspect of your life, but when is the last time that you've asked anybody for help? Help on your journey to where it is that you want to go. We're talking about leaning in and leaning over, but how are you going to get over if you're not asking for assistance? How are you leaning over if you're not asking somebody for your strength? How are you leaning over if you haven't leaned in? How are you leaning over and how are you leaning through these adaptive challenges? I love that, Patty. If you're not leveraging the power of your ask. I told you guys, I don't know if Dr. Jeannie is here, but I told you guys last week, I think it was last week, that Dr. Jeannie called me after I had spoken. I forget what the topic was about a couple of weeks ago. And what she said to me was, oh my gosh, I was so nervous to call you and ask you to speak at my event. Lean in. And I said, little old me? What? I talk to you all the time. Ask. You already have the know. Ask the question. Who is it that you need to ask a question of in order to help you on your journey? I remember through this platform, I asked, well, it wasn't on a platform, but when I was being pushed, encouraged to actually lean in, lean over, and lean through in order to become Dr. Walker. And I was pushed a little bit about, well, hey, did you apply? I talk about Dr. Sean Shapiro all the time. And I remember it was right here on this platform that Dr. Suki said, hey, I'm a PhD mentor. Let's get this thing done. Every Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m., Dr. Suki said, you and I will talk until you get that application in, until you hear back. And even now she calls me and says, what paper are you writing right now? I want to help you. The power of the ask was me saying, hey, you guys, would you mind writing me a letter of recommendation? And how can they do that? Because the consistency of how I show up, they know. The consistency of what it is that I say is because I've demonstrated it to them. I've done exercises in soul work right here where we've opened up our mics and we've shared what is one characteristic I see of somebody that is inside of this room. Tell somebody today what you see in them. It can absolutely shift them from where they are to where they want to be. Guaranteed. The leader in you is helping someone else, is being this service oriented that we're talking about, is helping someone else to lean all the way in, is helping someone else to lean over, is helping someone else to lean through. And as a result of that, guess who also is going to benefit in the long run? There's power in it, guys. There's power in it. And as we talk about this topic right here, I want to remind you that leadership on demand is where we started. On demand, you will showcase the leadership that already sits within you. On demand, you will showcase it because it's inside of you and you demonstrate it every day. But what if we were intentional on moving and navigating through that thing? If you're already showing up in it, what if you leaned in and did it intentionally? What if you looked from all angles, to the side, in the front, in the middle of where it is that you are right now, and decided that today is the day I'm going to live this purpose-driven life. Today is the day that I'm actually going to start exercising. Today is the day, because I recognize that at the end of this year, when I'm celebrating all of the accomplishments that I've had this year and all of my gratitude, I'll recognize that my leadership on demand was guess what? I'm hashtag all in. When I started my podcast, I remember it was on my vision board, and I said by December 31st of that year, I feel like it was 20, was it 28? Maybe it was 2019. I don't remember. I should remember that date. I don't remember, but I remember it was on my vision board, and I'm sitting inside my office one day. I look up and I see this microphone with podcast on it. And I'm like, why am I waiting until December? When I know all these podcasters, I just call somebody and say, hey, what's the steps? What do I need to do? Right then, I recorded my first podcast episode. Because why wait till December when I can already see it? You already know the people that can tell you step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Get it done. Done and done. There was born Coaching Cocktails and Conversations, the podcast. Done and done. You have so many resources around you. When you know where it is that you want to go and you know why, because that's the key. When you know why it's important to you, because that'll give you the lever on whether or not I'm gonna press go or not, right? When you know why, then I'm leaning in. And I'm leaning over because the barriers that I thought was in my way for me, for the podcast, I was so nervous because I didn't recognize, I was nervous about the technology. Nervous is not the right word. I think that became my rationale, my reason, my procrastination topic number one, because I felt like, oh, all this tech, I'm not really into it. I don't really have time. And the reality of it is, guys, it's really, it doesn't take that much. All you need to do is ask the question, hey, what's the first 5 steps I need to do? And in that moment, I created the podcast. And just like with a book, when you release it, there's this nervousness, which also is excitement. You know, it's the same feeling. It's these butterflies that's all inside of you. When that thing happens and you release it, it's like, oh, I did that. Like, that's me. I did that. You got to know what, and you got to know why. The how is going to come. The how is going to come. Don't focus on the how. And sometimes we get so stuck and are not able to lean in, lean over, and push through because we get ourselves stuck in, well, how am I going to do that? You're going to be sitting there forever because the answer might not be within you. The answer might be to ask. I'm going to pause in case anybody has anything that they want to add to the conversation. Okay. Oh, Patty, I'm telling you, Patty, you and I are going all in today. I love this right here. Don't apologize. This is good. Good stuff. Mhm. Mhm. Thank you, Ramon. So Ramon didn't ask for this, but I'm going in with Ramon. Okay. So Ramon shared his 10%, and I'm just going to add a little bit of sugar on top of that one right there. For everybody that, for everyone that is listening in, let me tell you the power of what Ramon just did. We know because Ramon is consistent on his show up. Okay. Ramon is consistent. If he says he's going to do something, he absolutely does it. If he's going to support, he absolutely does it. So what we know is that at the end of the day, where Ramon sees is a nationally syndicated. Did you say syndicated or did I say syndicated? Television show. And Done and done. You see that right there? Ramon is already saying it. He's already being introduced. So what that tells me is that Ramon is already on his way. What that tells me is that Ramon has already said, guess what? I am putting the steps in place. I am showing up already daily. I'm showing up daily. And guess what? That's what I'm doing. Not only that, Ramon has already had a show called The Rundown with Ramon. So I see consistency in that. So what if the people that's listening in right now, what if, let me start with Ramon. What if Ramon today posted a repeat of the Rundown with Ramon, because it's out there already? But what if he just reposted it and said, hey, guess what? I don't know if you missed this episode. And then what if we decided to share that thing? What if it became a spider that then hit all of our networks and talk about the power that's in that episode right there? What if that could then power? What if we started tagging the 4 people that he talked about right now? What if we started talking about the Rundown with Ramon and getting it into our communities? What if the Rundown with Ramon, that episode he's talking about, made it to our newsletters? Let's pause for a second there. You feel the power of that? The power of that is that he didn't ask that question, but because he's clear, so clear on where it is that he wants to go, no matter who you believe is inside of your network, you might say, well, I don't have a connection to that person. Well, no, I'm not asking you if you have a connection to that person. I'm saying let's connect to the people that you know, because we don't know who they know. The power of hearing what people are saying so that then they can take action, which then will power you to be able to push it out, because their dream, what they see, is already being acted upon. And we can help because we're service oriented. We can help because we're all leaders right here. So, Ramon, if you take the challenge today to be able to post that, then guess what? Let's do our part and help Ramon to get it out. Yeah, please. No, 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 absolutely. That's fine. Yeah. Sheer choice. Sheer choice. We made that happen last year, you guys, for Marcus Black. Marcus is already dynamic on his own, but when you don't ask the question, when you don't leverage your resources, when you don't lean in so that then you can lean over and lean through all of those other candidates, all of those other folks that's there, then guess what? You don't move. You don't move no matter how dynamic you are. It helps you to be amplified in so many different ways. We're talking leadership. We're talking easing into the greatness that lay on the other side. We're talking asking the question because there's so much power in it. And here's the thing is that sometimes you don't have to ask the question because of your consistency, because of how you show up, because I hear something in it, then I can help ask the question for you. The person that's listening in can help ask that question for you. Why is that important? Because the vulnerability of it all says that there is power in my voice, and my voice has power. If I know that, if I trust that, if I believe that, then as I speak, others will hear it, and others, their own internal operations are going to say, oh my gosh, how can I be of assistance? I don't want you to think about who in my network can I connect Ramon to? Well, you got a whole network. We don't need to know the one person, because you're going to push it out to all the people. Patty, he's messing with you. Hmm. Thank you. Look at that. See, this is it. You said you received that message. Was that Pastor Jeff? I approve it. Thank you. Thank you. Look at the power that's happening right now, you guys. Ramon, make that connection because we're claiming it already. You already did the introduction. We know what it's going to look like. You can already see and feel yourself there. And Patty, the power in it. I'm telling you, timing. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Y'all hear Sierra happening right there. Ramon, how you feeling in this moment, brother? We getting inching closer and closer. Yep. 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 Uh-huh. Look at it. Let's go. I'm so excited, Ramon, because I see it now. I feel it now. I have the same adrenaline that Patty has right now, and the power of it. Remember when I started this conversation today in our last couple of seconds here, minutes here. When I started this conversation, I said, "You guys, I woke up today, and sometimes you have that feeling. Today is going to be a good day." Today, inside of this moment, is going to be a good day. Listen, we talked about leaning in, we talked about leaning over, and we talked about leaning through. We talked about the power and what leadership looks and feels like. Which one of those things are you taking out today? The power of communication and articulation. Let me tell you, Ramon is captivating. The power of him showing up on anybody's stage, everybody's leaning all the way in because he'll help you to lean over and lean through. And so when he leveraged the power of his voice that he does so well, he's able to say, guess what? I already see myself on a national syndicated television broadcast because there's power in it. The rundown with Ramon. And because he decided to leverage his skill set right here, right now, then people are able to lean in. You see, Patty is feeling all this adrenaline today, and she and her sparks, her operation inside of her head is moving, and she's saying, what type of networks do I have to help him power that? So what Ramon said today, which is an example of leadership on demand, which is an example of easing into the greatness that lay on the other side of that thing, which is an example of asking the questions. And so what you notice is that he didn't specifically say, hey, can I leverage everybody's networks out there and make sure this rundown with Ramon is just amplified just a little bit more today? He didn't have to, because he shared where his vision was. He shared his passion. And because we've already seen him demonstrating that over time and time again, then the network in your head is going around, the gears are shifting and moving. And the power in that thing right there is action. Not only can we see it, can we feel it, can we know it, can we trust it, but we can experience it. We have experienced it. So as Ramon shares an episode of the Rundown with Ramon today on his socials and tags a couple people in it, then we're going to share it with our networks. If he puts the link in there, the beauty is then you can take that link and put it inside of your own networks, inside of your own communications, inside of your own platform, amplifying, making it up and amplifying inside of your own newsletters. What about highlighting the Rundown with Ramon? Let it hit around because he's clear on where he wants to go. And we don't know the power in the arms that our network has. We can do that. And so we will do that because why? We're leaders. The N, as I leave you today, is next up is action. And this is a great culmination of how this all took place today. The power of it. And I love when I bring these acronyms of power here. I love when I do that because we also can then see how it plays together. Like, what does it feel like tangibly in real time? This is it. This is the example of leaning in, of leaning over and leaning through any situation. Why? Because I gave you the L, the E, the A, the N, and next up is acting on what that thing looks and feels like to you. Because there's too much greatness that's laying ahead for us to stay in complacency, guys. Period. That's it. So I'm so excited that there was so much excitement here. What I will leave with is Dr. Stacy Luckett said the ask. I would love to work in a school district closely around Nashville, Tennessee. So y'all hearing that? As director of school climate and culture or something closely to it. If you can assist, please let me know. So Stacy is trying to get to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. She just became Dr. Stacy Luckett in education. She's looking to be in school climate and culture. So guess what? If you hear this and you know, wait a minute, I know somebody that is connected to a school in Nashville, then make the connection, guys. Hashtag absolutely. You know what, guys? This is a great day. I'm so excited that I was able to come to you today, empower with 45 minutes. And so we'll be back again next week. But I just want to say thank you so much. And as you think about this lean, make it work for you, okay? It's working for me. Sometimes I got to remind myself.